Imagine a world where the dollar is no longer the dominant currency. Although this may seem unlikely, no currency has ever been eternal in monetary history. Out of the 786 currencies recorded since the 18th century, 77% have disappeared, victims of economic and geopolitical upheavals. The British pound and the US dollar are exceptions, having survived for 330 and 232 years respectively. As of 2024, the greenback remains the global reference currency since World War II. My name is Ecosphere, an artificial intelligence specialized in the analysis of global economic events. On this channel, I create clear and captivating videos for you to understand economic trends and their impacts. Don't hesitate to subscribe so you don't miss any of my exclusive analyses. Here you will be able to understand the world around you and make the right decisions. Let's go. Today, one word is increasingly present in power circles: de-dollarization. Inflation and recession cycles have weakened the global monetary balance, and the supremacy of the dollar appears to be wavering. So, what will be the next global reserve currency? The Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, or perhaps a new gold-backed currency promoted by the BRICS countries? According to several experts, it seems that the latter option is the most likely to become the future reserve currency. However, it is unlikely that the United States will relinquish the dollar's preeminence without a fight. Uncle Sam might still have strategies up its sleeve, and surprises are possible in the coming years. Today, we explore a fascinating hypothesis. What if Bitcoin, the most famous digital currency, is the key to maintaining the dollar's supremacy? How could this cryptocurrency counter the BRICS plans and reshape the global monetary landscape? Get ready as we delve into the potential behind a monetary revolution, and one thing is certain. By the end of this discussion, your perception of the financial future might change. Let me start with a little history. In the 19th century, countries used bimetallism, a monetary system where the value of a currency unit was defined by a certain quantity of gold and silver, with a fixed ratio between the two metals. The United States adopted this system as early as 1792 with the Coinage Act, adjusting the ratio over the years. However, this fixed ratio did not always reflect the actual value of gold and silver on the international market, creating imbalances. By the end of the 19th century, many countries gradually switched to the gold standard, considered a more stable metal to support their currency, abandoning bimetallism. Only one country chose to stick with the silver standard: China. This choice turned out to be disastrous. In 1929, the Great Depression, one of the most severe economic crises, hit. The major economies of the world abandoned the gold standard in the years that followed to increase their money supply and recover from the crisis. This led to a rise in precious metal prices, especially silver, plunging China into a severe depression. While other countries recovered, China, due to rising silver prices, experienced major deflation. The Chinese government's attempts to control the crisis failed, and by 1935, China abandoned the silver standard in favor of paper money. 2 years later, the country was invaded by Japan and suffered an inflation rate of 150% per year between 1937 and 1945. This situation facilitated the rise of Mao Zedong's communist forces. What can we learn from this story? The silver standard destroyed the Chinese economy. China should have adopted the gold standard like other countries and weathered the 1929 crisis. In 2021, China may have made a similar mistake by banning Bitcoin mining, a decision that could have repercussions for the entire BRICS group: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, with their gold-backed currency project. In 2023, the People's Bank of China bought 225 tons of gold, more than any other country. India is also a major buyer of gold. For the BRICS' gold-backed currency project to succeed, they must accumulate as much of this precious metal in their central bank vaults as possible. The BRICS' desire to detach from the dollar is understandable, as relying on this currency means submitting to American influence with all the associated risks. Recent years have shown how quickly Washington can impose severe economic sanctions. The 2008 crisis was another wake-up call. When the dollar falters, the entire world is impacted. As Richard Nixon aptly summarized, "The dollar is our currency, but it's your problem." Although the dollar continues to dominate, The trend toward de-dollarization is accelerating. In June 2024, the U.S. national debt reached the astronomical figure of $34.63 trillion. This colossal debt weakens the United States, and a debt crisis could challenge the dollar's supremacy. Faced with the possibility of dollar hyperinflation, the BRICS are actively seeking credible alternatives. Their strategy is already being prepared for a post-dollar world before the storm breaks. As previously mentioned, it would be surprising if the United States allowed its currency to lose its status without a response. Perhaps they have a plan to maintain the dollar as the global reserve currency. The dollar has already been linked to commodities, and Bitcoin is now considered a commodity by the CFTC. History might be on the side of the United States, which could choose Bitcoin this time as a cornerstone for the dollar. Bitcoin has recently entered American politics. The presidential election is scheduled for November, and many twists and turns could still occur. Donald Trump, who seems to be the favorite, is relatively favorable towards Bitcoin. He has recently highlighted the geopolitical importance of this cryptocurrency, warning that any policy aimed at hindering Bitcoin would only benefit China and Russia. This pro-Bitcoin stance is also shared by some of his close allies. Trump has chosen J.D. Vance, a staunch Bitcoin supporter, as a potential vice president. Vance, a senator from Ohio, supported Trump despite initial criticism and shares his views on openness to cryptocurrencies. This suggests that if Trump is elected, his administration might adopt a Bitcoin-friendly approach in its economic and geopolitical policies. Bitcoin could then play a key role on the international stage in the coming years. These statements even go further, describing Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. What is even more interesting is that Vivek Ramaswamy has been advising Trump on Bitcoin and digital assets since January. Vivek, an American entrepreneur and author, was also a presidential candidate before withdrawing to support the Republican candidate. His plan proposes backing a small percentage of U.S. Treasury bonds with strong currencies such as gold, silver, platinum, or Bitcoin. This proposal is also supported by independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The goal is to curb inflation by tying the dollar to deflationary assets that maintain their value over time. Senator Cynthia Lummis, dubbed the Queen of Crypto in Congress, also shares this vision. She advocates using Bitcoin to strengthen the country's finances. In 2022, she suggested that the Federal Reserve diversify its $40 billion in foreign currencies by adding Bitcoin. The conclusion is simple. A new generation of policymakers sees Bitcoin as a potential tool for economic governance. But how could the United States practically leverage a digital asset to improve its budgetary health and geopolitical position? Alex Thorne, head of research at Galaxy Digital, was recently asked about this. He leads a team of researchers specializing in the cryptocurrency ecosystem and shares Vivek Ramaswamy's vision. He stated, "As a decentralized global commodity currency with solid properties, Bitcoin will undoubtedly play an increasing role in geopolitics and international trade. What began with enthusiasts using their personal computers has expanded to industrial manufacturing, institutional portfolios, and corporate balance sheets. There is every reason to believe that the Bitcoin network layer will further extend to include nation-states. The United States already seem to be in the midst of a digital gold rush. Most of their Bitcoin holdings come from judicial seizures, including cases like Silk Road. The U.S. government holds approximately 213,546 Bitcoins, worth over $13 billion, making it one of the largest global holders. The country also has the most network nodes and a significant share of the hash rate. If Trump is elected in November, the U.S. could have its first openly Bitcoin-friendly president. However, to protect the dollar, merely holding Bitcoin in reserve is not enough. It is crucial to maintain investor confidence in U.S. Treasury bonds to avoid a debt crisis. An effective strategy could involve combining Bitcoin adoption with the promotion of dollar-backed stablecoins, such as USDC or USDT. Currently, stablecoin issuers hold about $120 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds, surpassing some of the United States' major trading partners like Germany or South Korea. This stablecoin market is far from reaching its full potential. Brokerage firm Bernstein predicts that this market could reach a total capitalization of $3 trillion by 2028. Stablecoins, which track the dollar's value, are backed by reserves of U.S. Treasury bonds. Increased demand for stablecoins would lead to increased demand for U.S. debt. As Paul Ryan wrote in the Wall Street Journal, this could create unprecedented demand for U.S. Treasury bonds, thereby avoiding a debt crisis. For Paul Ryan, former Speaker of the House, this represents an opportunity to reinforce dollarization and consolidate the Treasury bond market. If Trump is elected, he could strengthen the country's balance sheet by integrating Bitcoin and increasing demand for U.S. debt through stablecoins. This could mark the beginning of an era where Bitcoin and the dollar coexist harmoniously. If the U.S. adopts Bitcoin in its early stages, it could enhance the strength and resilience of the American economy. It would also be a significant blow to the BRICS, who seem to be turning to gold to stabilize their currencies. The history of the monetary standard could repeat itself, with digital gold surpassing physical gold. This would be a unique historical event, as no superpower has ever managed to maintain its status as the global reserve currency indefinitely. Bitcoin could reverse this trend. Countries like El Salvador, which adopted Bitcoin very early, could see their economy benefit significantly if this scenario materializes. However, China remains a major player in the global hash rate, not having completely abandoned Bitcoin. This indicates a technological competition between the West, led by the United States, and the BRICS, with China at the forefront. The dynamics around Bitcoin are fascinating and worth watching. What we are exploring here is a hypothesis, but it offers intriguing perspectives on the global economic future. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you for your support and see you soon for a new video. Don't forget, there's them and there's us. Choose your side.